point. We are past the point when you should be evacuating. Now is the time to be sheltering in place, to be bunkering down, to ride out the storm. It's going to be a busy night in terms of weather out here.
Francine remains a Category 1 storm with maximum sustained winds of 90 miles per hour. New York City is remembering those lost 23 years ago with the annual 9/11 commemoration ceremony in Lower Manhattan. Jennifer Polsoni reports.
Family members of the victims of the 2001 and 1993 World Trade Center attacks doing the traditional reading of the names of those lost.
And my grandfather, firefighter Robert James Crawford.
And my brother, TJ Hargrave, who, like all of your loved ones, was taken from us way too soon.
Lisa Taylor, NBC News Radio.
Tahibo Tea Club's original Pure Pau D'Arco Super Tea helps build red corpuscles in the blood which carry oxygen to our organs and cells. Our organs and cells need oxygen to regenerate themselves. The immune system needs oxygen to develop, and cancer dies in oxygen. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit TahiboTeaClub.com. Tahibo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy, O, then continue with the word tea and then the word club. The complete website is TahiboTeaClub.com or call us at 818-610-8088, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-610-8088, TahiboTeaClub.com.
This segment sponsored by our friends at the all-new Sammy's Restaurant. Sammy's is now open in Calamasa at Exit 88 off the 10 freeway next to the Jack in the Box in the former Bob's Big Boy Restaurant. Not to name drop, but Sammy's in the former Bob's is a lot like Norm's. It has an extensive menu with multiple restaurants in Rialto and places like Upland and Rancho Cucamonga. Sammy's is a great place to dine. Their menu is very similar with their American trio of delicious steak, shrimp, and chicken, and an expansive menu. You won't go hungry and you won't go broke at Sammy's. You can come meet Sammy and his family. Sammy was a chief cook for Norm's for years, and it shows in his menu. Sammy's is a great place to meet the family, friends, or have a community meeting. You can ask about their private meeting room, available for parties of 15 or more on a first-come, first-served basis. Sammy's is now open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day at 540 Sandalwood Drive off of Exit 88 at the 10 freeway in Calamasa. Look for the Big Boy statue. It's still there. We thank Sammy for returning to this station as a loyal sponsor. You can find more info about Sammy's at sammyscafe.net. That's sammyscafe.net, where you can also find discount coupons to save money. And by the way, Sammy's has free Wi-Fi too. Sammy's in Calamasa, Rialto, or one of their other locations are ready to serve you. Sammy's is now open in Calamasa.
Located in the heart of San Bernardino, California, the Teamsters Local 1932 Training Center is designed to train workers for high-demand, good-paying jobs in various industries throughout the Inland Empire. If you want a pathway to a high-paying job and the respect that comes with a union contract, visit 1932trainingcenter.org to enroll today. That's 1932trainingcenter.org.
This segment sponsored by the Fat Greek in Yucaipa. The Fat Greek is a family, independent, locally run business taking pride in authentic Greek cuisine. Owners and brothers, Nick and Chris, bring authentic Greek recipes directly from their homeland to your plate using their grandmother's and mother's mouth-watering and delicious recipes. And now, the Fat Greek has a full bar with happy hour specials and great new menu items. Stop by, drive through, or sit down in their relaxed atmosphere and enjoy their new 85-inch TV, too. And it's all healthy. Eat Greek, live long. For more information, people can go to GoFatGreek.com. That's GoFatGreek.com, or you can Google Go Fat Greek in Yucaipa. Opa! Eat Greek, live long.
In these trying times, many people are depressed and lost because the future of our society is up in the air. If you're turning to substance abuse because you're feeling there is no hope, we have a way for you to see the light. SAD, or Stop Abusing Drugs, is a nonprofit organization that will help you at no cost to you Stop Abusing Drugs. Founded by Tony Navarchi, SAD will refer you to the top detox doctors in your area. SAD will pay every and any cost for you, including doctor visits, counseling, and medications. If you need help, SAD is there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you or a loved one needs help, or if you have a suggestion or idea for Tony, you can reach out to him by calling 844-493-3386. That's 844-493-3386. Or email Tony at tony@saddetox.com. That's Tony at saddetox.com.
Welcome to the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan, a brand new show about labor and worker issues. The host of the show is Randy Corrigan, Secretary Treasurer and Principal Office and leader of Teamsters 1932, one of the largest public sector labor unions on the West Coast, representing workers in government and non-sworn law enforcement personnel. Randy Corrigan is a 30-year Teamster who first became involved in the labor movement by volunteering his time as an organizer with the Teamsters Union at the age of 21. Since then, he's helped thousands organize, mobilize, and achieve bargaining rights. He accomplished this by spending countless hours with brave men and women all over Southern California, in their living rooms, on the picket line, to bring workers towards victory. This is the Worker Power Hour. And now here's the host of the show, Randy Corrigan.
Good afternoon, everybody. Randy Corrigan and the Worker Power Hour, KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. Boy, I blew that, didn't I? Long-time organizer, first-time radio host. My rookie status is showing itself at this particular time. 10:50 a.m. Anyway, good to be back. I actually missed last week. Sorry for the little flub there at the beginning, but Randy Corrigan and the Worker Power Hour with you for the next couple hours. We have a couple great guests coming on here shortly. Before I get into my normal show, I think it's important for us to take a moment to remember today and reflect on the fact that this is September 11th and that September 11th of 2001 was a very tragic day in America, and it reminds us that we should be Americans first before we are darn near anything else. And we should take great pride in our country, and we should all be patriots at some level. And I think it's important for us to recognize and reflect on the sacrifice that a lot of first responders did on September 11th of 2001 in trying to save other people's lives. Many of those, matter of fact, almost all of those first responders were union members that are part of the collective bargaining process to ensure that they have a safe environment themselves. Clearly, the nature of their job puts them at complete risk, especially in moments like September 11th of 2001. And so, clearly approximately 2,977 victims were killed, including civilians, first responders, and passengers on planes from that day. The World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and Flight 93. I think that when you really you think about the courageous acts of everybody, including those civilians on Flight 93 that essentially said, you're not going to kill any more people, and took it into their own hands. We salute you. Our remembrance of you and our appreciation, there should never go a day that goes by without us recognizing that. And today obviously signifies that day, and we have to remember the sacrifices of all those, not only that perished that day, but those that died trying to save others. And not just died, but casualties that were forever impacted, maimed, injured the rest of their life as a result of trying to save others. So I know it's heavy right out the gate, but it's really appropriate. Just so you know, Mark, that's extremely loud. I can hear that over here. And at the end of the day, take a few minutes to pray for those souls that are lost. Remember those that did a great job, are all heroes on that day. And quite frankly, regardless of anybody's political party, after 9/11, it was good to see the entire country come together and really rally around one another to help one another in a time of need. With that, I actually have, there's a couple other points here I think it's important to point out is the National September 11th Memorial Museum is located at the site of the former World Trade Center in New York. This memorial honors the victims of the attacks, there's 2 reflecting pools sit in the footprints of the Twin Towers, and the names of the victims are inscribed around the pools. Flight 93 National Memorial has a memorial there where Flight 93 went down, and it's really important for us to obviously pay attention to those individuals that sacrificed in that situation too. And the Pentagon Memorial commemorates the lives lost in the Pentagon attack with 184 illuminated benches representing each victim. And so, again, you can't spend too much time on this issue on a day like today. We should always just take the time to really appreciate what those lives were lost for, and those individuals who rushed in to try to help save as many people as they can. Because what you don't know is the thousands of lives that were saved by those that sacrificed their lives. And that is in the thousands. And we really appreciate what they did and those that have to carry that with them the rest of their life. So with that, I actually have a very interesting 9/11 story myself. I was actually in an airport when that happened. I was in the Phoenix airport. I was arriving at the Phoenix airport when the first tower was hit, and I was inside the airport. And by the time I was working my way through security and then over to my gate, you could tell something was going very strange in the airport. They had actually shut down all the TVs in the airport as far as what the airport had access to. The only TVs that were shown were those that were in the lounges and the bars. And obviously people were glued to that. And at this moment that I'm speaking of, it was actually in between the 2 hits on the towers. And I remember standing there. I had already walked up to my gate, and they said, all flights have been delayed. Literally all flights have been delayed. They're not sure what's going on. The gate attendants didn't say anything. They said, we're just being told there may be a national ground stop. Just hold tight. I remember just turning around, walking over to the TV at the bar that was on, and the second tower got hit. And I remember looking around going, oh boy, this is a big deal. And if you ever see the movie where flights get canceled on the screens, obviously in every airport you're in, you get to see all the screens with all the flights. And I actually saw all the flights get canceled, literally in a roll, electronic roll. Cancel. So I turned around and I ran immediately towards the rental car. Figured this was bad, and this was going to get really tough. And I made a beeline for the rental car desk, which was downstairs at Sky Harbor Airport in Phoenix, and happened to be like number 5 or 6 in that line. By the time I got up to get my car, there was probably 1,500 to 2,000 people in line behind me. And I ended up getting a car, obviously, because I happened to run through the airport, which is not unusual to see people run through airports. We obviously see that on a regular basis. And I got a little mini Blazer at the time, and turned around and asked everybody there, all right, I'm going to Ontario Airport. Anybody who wants a ride to Ontario, I have room for 3 that want to ride. If you want to go, let me know. And not one person put their hand up at first, which was kind of weird. Not one person did. And then at this point, those of you that know me know I'm pretty loud. My voice can carry at a pretty high volume in a large space. And at this point, I raised my voice and I said, for those of you in the back of the line, you may not get cars understanding what we got going on right now. I have 3 spots in my car. No, I'm not charging anybody. If you would like a ride to Ontario Airport, please raise your hand. And then about 30 people put their hand up. I guess at this point they took notice and were willing to jump on board. So what I did, what are you asking, Mark? I was at Phoenix Airport, downstairs, Phoenix Sky Harbor. I was downstairs in the rental car space. And so obviously I found 3 people, got them in, and you want to talk about, 3 strangers. I had no idea who they were, and drove them back to Ontario. And that was a very, very long and interesting ride where you just, you really appreciate where you are at a given time, and you recognize the weight of what's going on in this country. And so that's my story and where I was on 9/11, 2001. When I got back to the airport, my car was somewhere else. They had actually picked up in all that parking anywhere near the airport. They picked up every single car that was near an airport, and they moved it somewhere else. And so I had to go find my car. I wasn't upset. I got it. I understood. You just needed to. Took a little bit of time to locate the vehicle back then, and you didn't have the easy way to find things like you do now, where everything had GPS attached to it. So it was like a needle in a haystack, trying to find the vehicle. But anyway, obviously, most people that were alive at that time obviously recognize and remember exactly where they were. That's my interesting story and situation with 9/11, and I hope that everybody can take today and take some time today to pay our respects for those that lost their lives on that day, in addition to those that did everything they could to save other lives. And so with that, let me move on to our show, our recap of last week's show, which was a recording of a show that we did previously. I was trying to get away and take some time away, which seems to be impossible for me. Anytime I leave, no matter what I do, I still have to work 3, 4, 5, 6 hours during the day, no matter what. But at least I didn't have to physically be somewhere, and was trying to take some time off last week. But what we did is we aired a show last week. It was a rerun of March 27th, which was the local politics and how it affects Teamsters. And we also talked about women in power. And I believe we had Kathleen on, Kathleen Brennan, our amazing president of Teamsters Local 1932, on the show. And hopefully many of you listened. It was actually pretty funny. I was when the show was about ready to kick on, I started getting a bunch of text messages from everybody that were about ready to listen live on the show. And I had to tell them, I'm sorry, I'm actually not doing the show today. You're going to listen to a repeat. So for those of you that texted me last week and are listening now, I appreciate you reaching out and wanting to send a message just before I got started. But short of that, we're back live today. And as I always say, I'm a longtime organizer, first-time radio host. And so I get to make some rookie mistakes in the beginning of all this and get to blame. Now I can blame Marky Poo over here, who's now handling our board. And whenever we make a mistake, we can point the finger at Mark right here through the glass as he learns to operate the technical side of what we do here. So the next part of my show are live Teamster shout-outs, and we have a series of them from all over the area. The best shout-out I want to give for many that are listening live is actually our San Bernardino County Fire Group. I'm going to do a quick report on it. I know there's a number of people that will be talking about it on this show throughout the day. We're actually going to try to get someone to call in live, but they're clearly busy fighting the fires that are happening throughout the region right now. And, we really appreciate the work that they do. And in the Teamster Jobs, I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about the work that Teamsters do when it comes to fire safety and making sure that firefighters get what they need and the infrastructure is handled for firefighters throughout the region. So live shout-outs, first and foremost, to any of you in the San Bernardino Fire, Confire, any of the areas of the fire groups or support of those firefighters that we represent. Live shout out to you. Thank you very much, and we really appreciate all the work that you do. Clearly, you're really killing it right now in a big way. So, other than that, I have Stanley Sanchez, a merchandiser from 7-Up. Marcus Worrell, he's also a driver from 7-Up, listening live. Marcos, good to see you listening live. Make sure if you're driving right now, you're paying attention and you got your hands free on. Katie Provencio, a care assistant at the Fontana Family Health Center. Amy Shackelford from DOS is listening live. Jenny Hernandez from Public Health is listening live. Ruben Saylor at ATC's office is listening live. And Connie Bottini from the Rialto Library is listening live. And Connie, we tried to get you on the show today. We know that it's a little tough to get people on the show today because of actually the fire situation is creating a strain on the staffing for a number of our places that we represent. And so we ran into some challenges with actually some of our guests today, simply because of that. It's totally understandable. So Connie, we love you. You do a great job. Really appreciate you listening live too. And for those of you that have not visited a public library lately, remind yourself of how great these spaces are. Go to a public library, because it's amazing the resources that are there and actually how much the community utilizes that resource that some would like to try to get rid of. So with that transfers me and switches me over into our 3 Teamster jobs. And what better jobs to highlight than the fire hazard abatement officers? They conduct inspections of properties to identify and assess potential fire hazards, such as overgrown vegetation, improper storage of flammable materials, or blocked access routes. We also have, so those are Teamsters, so think about it next time somebody's doing an inspection in a particular area. Many of the Teamsters that do these inspections, many of the workers that do these inspections in the region are actually Teamsters. Here's another one you may not know. Fire quality assurance technicians. They inspect and test fire prevention systems like fire alarms, sprinklers, extinguishers in public and private buildings to ensure they are functioning properly. Many of the individuals that do those jobs within the region are Teamsters. So always think of Teamster and make sure that you appreciate that they do these types of jobs every single day to make sure that our area and our work areas are safe and on guard, because you don't realize how important that is until a disaster actually happens. Fire office assistants. They provide administrative assistance to fire departments by managing fires, handling phone calls, scheduling inspections, and maintaining records. And so, again, we really appreciate the work that all of you do in the field of firefighting and all of the support staff around what firefighters need, what fire suppression, fire prevention, fire safety. Many of those areas are all Teamster jobs throughout the region. And as you've seen our Think a Teamster message out there on billboards and on the radio and in the newspaper and on buses, we're just bringing an awareness that there are Teamsters all around, and we always want to thank a Teamster for the amazing the amazing work that they do on a regular basis. And so this transitions me into the news, and there's a lot of news to report on. The first thing I want to report on the news, I was actually at that. Here we go. All right, Mark. Can everybody hear that? See, so Mark's now that he's going to give us some good lead-up sort of music and background and bells and whistles for us to play with, so that we don't just sit here hearing me drone on. So that's a good one. That's okay. I like the one you sent me yesterday, though. Yeah, maybe. We'll try them both. We'll do them a couple times, sir. That's what's cool about having your own show and being a rookie, is you get to test these things, and if they don't go off very well, you can just say, okay, we won't do that again. So thanks for the introduction of the news play there. And the first thing I want to report on August 29th, we had a day of action, a Solidarity Day of Action in Long Beach with Amazon workers throughout California that attended a function with what is likely the next U.S. Senator and current Congressman Adam Schiff, as well as Attorney General Bonta. And Attorney General Bonta and Adam Schiff sat very patiently with workers from Amazon and listened in to the challenges that they were having in the various types of operations that Amazon operates in. Some of them were drivers, some of them were warehouse workers, some of them were in between, and they worked for these, what they call these DSPs, these delivery station providers. And those DSPs are, Amazon claims that they don't work for Amazon, that these drivers don't work for Amazon. The DSPs are a subcontractor, and that they try to slip their responsibility and accountability of them. And at the end of the day, it's when you see a Amazon driver driving an Amazon van with an Amazon uniform and all the Amazon equipment, and Amazon says that they're not ours, there's clearly a legal issue here. And matter of fact, multiple agencies have ruled that Amazon is a joint employer. And what I'm really happy to report is that A.G. Bonta and Adam Schiff, which is a current congressman and our future U.S. Senator for California, both sat and listened. And these are elected officials that normally talk for a very long period of time. And we had a very short window of about 20 minutes. And I actually was running the meeting. Our general president, Sean O'Brien, was there. We had other individuals there, very small group, because we wanted the Amazon workers to explain to these elected officials what they were doing, they being the Amazon workers, number one, and two, what they needed as far as policy was concerned, because these workers are taking action themselves, but they needed some policy support happening at various levels of the government. And what I got to say is that I normally would never have a situation where multiple elected officials that definitely like to talk at for a long period of time, they were done talking in like 5 minutes. They did all the listening. And I was really impressed by the fact that they spent the time they did listening into those specific situations that those Amazon workers brought forward. And so I really appreciate that. It was very well attended. So there was a small private meeting directly with the Amazon workers and these elected leaders. There were others as well. There were mayors and council members and state assembly members, as well as there was a number of other congressional leaders present. And then we went to a bigger function at Local 848 where about 400 or 500 members and community leaders were in attendance to rally around these workers and to explain that they're going to build community solidarity and support these workers, not just through policy, but by executing whatever they needed on the ground for support as these workers take on a big corporation. So shout out to all of those Amazon workers that were there. Those Amazon workers spoke very courageously, and it was an unbelievable event, right, Mark? Mark, you were there. The energy was off the charts. It was like on a scale of 1 to 10 of attending a meeting that was an hour and 5 minutes long, the energy level was at a 10 the entire time. It never actually came down, ratcheted one bit. What would you say to that, Mark? You were there.
I would say that it was.
I can't hear you.
You got me down? Randy,
yeah, go ahead.
I must not have a mic.
Yeah, you're in.
Okay. It was huge. It was just huge, absolutely huge.
A little more description, Mark?
It was exciting for the general president to be there, the district attorney. The people were on fire the whole time, though. The whole chanting. You couldn't even get in the room. If you did get in the room, it was a sauna. But
yeah. It was an amazing amount of energy, and it really was because so many of the workers were so locked in to their message, and they did a great job of presenting their message and explaining what they were trying to get done, and had direct asks on elected officials as well as direct asks on the community, and just really explaining, when Amazon, one of the richest corporations in the world, tries to say these 300,000 drivers across the country that wear their uniforms, drive their vans, and have all of their equipment and technology and follow all their rules, they're not ours. They say they're not Amazon drivers. Literally, Amazon tries to say that every delivery package that's being delivered is not being delivered by an Amazon driver. And I'm sorry, but you have some accountability here that's going to be held up. And basically, these workers are saying, support us in this fight and make sure that we hold Amazon accountable so that we can get a fair wage for a very tough job. Clearly, working in the warehouse, transportation industry, and delivery industry is a very difficult job, very demanding job, and we appreciate the work that they do. And so with that, I will move on to the next piece of news. I just wanted to drill down on something I was actually at. It was amazing. It was very inspirational. These workers and what they do are incredible. So apparently, we, the Teamsters, have issued kind of a statement to Governor Newsom, and it looks like he's going to probably do what he did before on the autonomous vehicle stuff, which is, veto it or step to the side and not be supportive. We're very concerned about the autonomous vehicle, autonomous vehicle industry. We're very concerned about AI and what that's going to do, not just for public safety, but what that's going to do for jobs and how that impacts. I mean, think about it. A big rig truck rolling down the road, no human operator. What happens if something goes wrong? That is very, very problematic, and that is very, very dangerous. And so we have the powerful Teamsters Union behind 2 bills to regulate autonomous vehicles is going to address Governor Newsom, and hopefully before he's even decided whether to sign it, he said he is going to veto the legislation, and hopefully we can convince him to do something different. And I know he doesn't like our posture on this, but being the union, the organization that has represented drivers and transportation since there were horses and buggies, there's a lot at stake in this situation, and we would hope that there'd be a little bit more awareness brought to the subject. We also, in the news, that labor unions still need to get serious about organizing. It's something in a Jacobin article. I think it's the approval of unions is at its highest level since the 1960s. This is an interesting article, and the reason why I want to talk about it is obviously the heading of it is that they still need to get serious about organizing. Well, I'm serious about organizing. I've been organizing for 32 years, and I understand what's happened with organizing and the problem and the challenges of organizing. If unions are not organizing at the pace that everybody thinks that they should, it's ironic for the unions to get blamed for a set of rules that were created by everybody else. Unions have always been behind building worker power and helping workers achieve collective bargaining since there were no rules to protect it, which was pre-1934. And what's happened is legislatures and elected officials have created policy to limit workers' ability to become union and to delay it and to slow the process down and to actually put us in a situation like we are today where more than 70% of workers want to be in a union, but only 10% are. And so somehow it's the unions that are not being serious about it. Look, unions are very serious about organizing. Unions have been serious about organizing, and part of the problem that we're running into is we're running into a law that was built in 1934, which originally the Wagner Act in 34 was pretty decent. It was gutted in 47 under Taft-Hartley, and then it was gutted again in the 50s with some LMRDA stuff. And so what's happened is that unions, most importantly, workers' rights to collectively bargain, have been eroded at a pretty incredible level. And the pathway for workers to become union, which we'll do an entire show on this in the future, has bogged down into this legal sort of dance between corporate America's attorneys and the process itself, which sometimes takes way too long for workers to get to a point where, even though they do want to be in a union, they have to go through the legal process of certification. And if you've read anything about Project 2025, if any piece of that comes into play, that will even make this process more difficult. And so the interesting thing is that unions continually get blamed for not getting it done when the rules have been created to make it very problematic and cumbersome. And you want to talk about working on an old set of laws. You're talking a set of laws from 1935 that's been, again, gutted multiple times. And so, all I got to say is unions are serious about organizing. I've been organizing for more than 30 years, and I'm frustrated with the rules in which it takes for workers to seek representation and get recognized under that process. And at some point, it's got to improve. I know that EFCA which is the Employee Free Choice Act, was proposed in 2011. That was one senator short of passing. It passed the House, didn't pass didn't pass the Senate. And now we have what's called the PRO Act. That's been floating around now for 4 years. It's a reform to make it easier for workers not only to organize but get first contracts. And again, we can spend an entire show on this. Stop blaming the unions. Actually, these policymakers need to get to work and help workers find a faster path to organize. Helping workers demand recognition, gain recognition, and holding these huge corporations accountable to recognize these workers when they are fighting to collectively bargain. And so the next thing I want to point out in the news is the negotiations with the United States Maritime Alliance, which represents ports ownership, broke down in July after labor said it was canceling the talks after discovering that automated technology was being used by the APM Terminals and Maersk, the world's second largest shipping company and APM Terminals parent company, to process trucks at port terminals without union labor. So in other words, like, oh, we're just going to automate this. Again, automation's right in the center. Gee, I wonder why those talks shut down and they're going to probably go into a labor dispute. Sometimes we have to, when things get that bad, at a certain point, the workers decide to go on strike. They vote to go on strike. And once they do go on strike, they're withholding their labor and they're trying to get everybody to recognize how important that labor is. If we get into a society where your labor is not needed and a computer can do all of your labor for you, at some point it's going to come for you and you're not going to have a job either. So I think it's important for us to pay attention to these workers' struggles. I got more news to report, but I'm going to do a little bit more of that news on the back side of the hour. I'll come back to it in a bit. What I want to do is take a quick break. We're going to bring in our Teamster Advantage partner, who Mary has been sitting here very patiently waiting to get onto the desk here next to me. So thank you for the nice lead-up of music. All right, Randy Corrigan here with the Worker Power Hour. I am joined by Mary. This is a reoccurring guest for us as one of our Teamster Advantage partners. This is my favorite part of the show, where we bring in a small business owner and we show our Teamster Advantage partnership, which is more than 1,000 small businesses in the Inland Empire. And I know that we've had you've been on the show before, right?
Yes, I have.
And we've always had a great relationship, obviously, with you and Teamster Advantage.
Teamster Advantage, you betcha.
And so today we had a few cancellations because of the fires, and you jumped in here at the last minute, and really appreciate you jumping in. I see you got the Teamster Advantage partner.
Well, yes, we do, and that's what I came here to talk about. We made a new jam, and I honestly made this for Mark. But we made a new jam. Well, he needed a little pick-me-up one time.
Did you see how Randy just looked at me?
But this was made for Mark to pick him up a little bit, and it's our Teamster Advantage jam, and it is a.
We have a Teamster Advantage jam. Look
Yep.
at this. All
Well,
right.
let's see. Hang on, I got to turn it so that. There we go.
right.
Okay. And so it has the Teamster Advantage logo on it. And I made it because Teamsters are the backbone of our country. Oh, and that one is for you, Randy.
See me reaching over trying to steal it. Mary, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody real
Okay.
quick?
My name is Mary Reuter, and I am the owner of Soaring Swine Acres and Voodoo Queen Tea. We have a small shop in Yucaipa on California Street, 12116A California Street, and we make over 250 different jams, jellies, sauces, salsas, pickles, herbal teas, and tinctures that are actually holistic remedies.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
I say that a lot. So we make special jams for different people. We have a whole line of products called Honoring the American Heroes. And we make jams for firefighters, police officers, veterans, active duty service people. We put their name on it. We give, we name it whatever it is the person wants it named. And we also donate to the Gary Sinise Foundation every year, the Yucaipa firefighters and the Yucaipa Police Department from those, the proceeds from those jams. But Teamster Advantage, I wanted to talk about specifically because we are having a couple of friends with small business and I have started a brand new little market in Oak Glen for the apple season. And it's called the Oak Glen Old Schoolhouse Market, and you can find it at hashtag Old Schoolhouse Market. It's just a few of us. We don't want to mess up the ambiance of the schoolhouse and the museum. And we will be there every weekend through apple season. But on September 28th and 29th, we are having Teamsters Weekend. And so we're
September 28th and 29th is Teamster Weekend.
Yes. And we are inviting Teamsters to come up to the Old Schoolhouse Museum with their families. We have free samples. And the first 10 Teamster members who come and show their Teamster card will receive a free jar of Teamster Advantage jam.
Did you
so
hear that?
We'd like you to come.
All right.
And we have other vendors there. We will have House of Confections. She does sweets and treats, candied apples that are amazing. Maddie's Dog Treats and CBD, wonderful products. They are also in my store. We are having Two Guys Stone Jewelry, and they do rocks and minerals and stone jewelry. And David's Woodworking, and he does the most incredible rubber band guns. They're not like the old school rubber band guns where we nailed a clothespin onto a stick. These are repeater shooters. You can shoot 12 rubber bands in succession. So those are some of the people who will be.
I'm still amazed that we have our own Teamster Advantage jam. This is,
do you want to taste it?
Yes, I do.
Okay, you'll have to open that one.
Okay, that's all right.
Need a big, strong man hand.
So,
and here's your
spoon.
I've
always complained that we don't get credit for this great program that we've built since 2016, and now I feel very. This
honored?
is awesome. Yeah, honored. Very honored. That's the word I was looking for. Teamster Advantage jam. And let's see what it tastes like.
It takes a lot to make that jam. That is one of the most difficult jams that we make.
Very good.
And I wanted to name that one Teamster Advantage simply because Teamsters are hard workers. My daughter is a Teamster.
Very good.
And so I appreciate Teamsters and the work that they do.
Well, Mary, how much time do you have today? Because I've got
all afternoon.
Do you?
Yes,
so
I do.
Would you be so kind? We have Assembly member Eloise Reyes that's sitting here, and she's got to go. We had some scheduling conflicts. Would you be good if we just added her in here and the three of us sit here and chat?
I love that.
She jumps in, that way I can get her to cover some of the things that she wants to talk about, and then we can roll back into the Teamster Advantage stuff.
Sure.
And plus, maybe you got some questions of the
You
Assembly
never know.
member.
I just might.
Eloise, you want to come over and join us? So what we'll do is Yeah, we don't. I'm just going to talk through it. This is my show. I'm just going to talk while they're coming on over. Come on over, Eloise. What we're going to do is you guys are going to slide down here. Mary's going to get a little closer to me. Eloise is going to come in on that third one, and everybody's going to set her up. And so we really appreciate the flexibility here today. The fires actually created a ton of changes in the schedule, which is completely understandable, and everybody has been willing to kind of work through these challenges. And if you're watching live, you actually get to see everybody jumping in right now and listening in. And as a reminder, it's KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. It's a Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan. And so we have Rick in here now, and he's going to be messing with the wires and making sure that everybody listens in. You're probably listening to all this fumbling going on right now.
Engineer at work.
The engineers are hard at work trying to get it up to where. Can you hear us now, Eloise? I hear you. So what you'll want to do is bring that microphone a little closer. There's a little switch on the top to where you can go on. There you go, right there.
All right.
Yeah, she's on mic 3. That's really loud, by the way, Mark, when you come in over the top of us. I know. Eloise.
Hey, how are you?
Long time. Been a while since I've seen you.
It's been a
few
while,
weeks?
Randy. Yeah,
Right.
so long.
Thanks for being flexible and jumping in on the show like this. Welcome to the Worker Power Hour here.
I love it, yes.
We're having a great time with the radio show. What we're doing is we're reaching out to the community and we're explaining how unions work. Every show we bring in a small business owner, just like Mary here, and we let them talk about their small business. And obviously they're a Teamster Advantage partner. They're part of that network, the Teamster Advantage network we built out. And, we really appreciate the partnership with you, Eloise. You've always been very supportive of our members, which is important to us. Whether you're supportive of me or not is one thing.
I'm always supportive of you, Randy.
Being supportive of our members is the most important
Yes.
thing. And almost every time we've called on you to assist in a certain situation, you've been there and you've been very helpful. And you're also considered one of the most powerful women in the Inland Empire.
That's news to me, Mary.
No, it's not news to you. You should know that. We love having powerful women from the Inland Empire on this show because, women really make it all happen. And there's not enough people that give all of you great women enough respect for the positions that you're in. So thank you very much for being on here. And we're all about worker power, and we're all about women power, and we're all about workers getting a fair shake at the bargaining table.
All right.
So with that, do you want to introduce yourself to the listeners that may not know you?
Absolutely. I'm Eloise Gomez-Reyes. I'm the Assembly member representing the 50th Assembly District. And this encompasses the areas from Rancho Cucamonga, including San Bernardino, and all the way over to Redlands. Loved my district.
And how long have you been in that role?
I've been an Assembly member for 8 years now. The first few years was District 47.
Yeah, they redid everything.
And then they redid everything, and I've now got new boundaries. But I've got a great team, as you know, Randy, here in the community and also up in Sacramento, and it makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, and you're at all of our car shows and events and functions. We really appreciate the visibility that you bring. You've recognized our local union and our membership and a lot of things that they've done. We appreciate coming from the Assembly that recognition on how important our members' jobs and their roles are within the community. Is there anything you want to share that you're working on that you want to talk to our listeners?
Absolutely. I think that one of the bills that we worked on this year, AB 98, as you know, for years I've been working on trying to figure out how we balance the new logistics being brought into the community and making sure that the health of the community is protected, make sure that the workers are being protected, whether they're building the tilt-ups or they're working inside the warehouses. So trying to find all that balance, and this year it looks like we were able to finally come up with a balance, and I'm very excited about that. The bill is now on the governor's desk, and we're hoping he signs it.
Yeah, you also sponsored a bill, AB 701, correct?
Randy, I don't remember the bill numbers, but tell me which one it was.
Warehouse production.
Oh, yes.
Worker production. Now,
oh, yes.
So you remember that one?
Yes.
And we talked at length about that one before that one worked its way up. As a matter of fact, it worked its way up the flagpole. It got shot down, and then it was reworked, and then it finally passed. Are you aware that that what is now AB 701 is now in, I think it's 7 or 8 states. A version of that has been passed in more states throughout the country, and that Congress is actually working on one right now to go across the entire country.
It's things like that that make me realize how important our partnerships are in making sure that we pass good legislation. Oftentimes, the ideas may come from another state, but as we know, California is often the leader.
And it was absolutely the leader in this one. This one is particularly near and dear to me because coming out of a warehouse environment as a worker in my teens, and obviously representing that industry for multiple decades afterwards and negotiating contracts, it was also important for us to make sure that non-union operators there was some accountability, that these workers wouldn't just get ground through their productivity standards and tossed to the side of unruly, unmanageable productivity standards. And so we really appreciate your support on that. That has been a bill, again, now duplicated, triplicated, quadruplicated, whatever they call that, 4, 5, 6, 7 times over. And it's actually, it's being proposed in another dozen states. I think that's something that at some point more than half the states will pass some version of it. And what it does, just for layman terms, is it creates a level of accountability so that workers don't work blindly to these productivity standards and ultimately work themselves into being injured, hurt, and work themselves out of a job, because these are very difficult jobs.
They are.
And so we really appreciate the partnership on helping create that productivity standard. If you're in a collective bargaining agreement, if you're union, you clearly have the protection of a union contract, which guarantees your ability to have a productivity standard protections. In other words, they can't just implement something over the top of you when you have a union. Now, obviously, when you're non-union, you're at the whim of the employer and whatever productivity they created. So AB 701 was created to make sure that those non-union companies didn't ruin an entire workforce with unattainable productivity standards. So
and
thank you.
Ruin their health.
That's correct.
I think that's that's the whole impetus of it, is to make sure that you're protecting the workers. The number of injuries in warehouses it's untenable. We can't continue this way, and that was one of those protections, and your leadership was really important in that.
Starting in the industry as a teenager and then getting my first union job at 18 and working in that industry, in the warehouse industry, to look around and see the productivity standards, and obviously in the Inland Empire, you see so many warehouse operations with these crazy productivity standards and these crazy situations. You said it a minute ago, and I don't think it gets talked about enough, is someone goes from high school, they turn 18, and they get a job, and then they get hurt. And their entire career. Some would say, oh, you shouldn't have a career in warehousing. What are you talking about? There's a whole bunch of people that I know that retired very well by having a career in warehousing.
Especially those that are part of a union.
That is correct.
Yeah.
If they were part of a union, they definitely retired well. But most importantly, the industry has really tried to take advantage of the workforce in this space over the last couple decades. And it's really sad to see, and you hit the nail on the head by bringing up that safety issue. The impetus for it was really to make sure that youth didn't get hurt so quickly.
That's right.
So thank you not only for supporting it, for being in front of it and being the lead that's now happening all over the country. Thank you for recognizing its importance on the safety side of things. That's what sometimes everybody's too busy chasing the dollar that they don't pay attention to the health and safety factor that comes with it. So what else do you want to report on? Because I know you said you got to run at a certain point, and we really appreciate Mary just kind of flowing with our
Well, and I've been listening to what Mary's been talking about. This sounds like a great business. This is pretty exciting here.
She does a great job. I know that. What are these other flavors we got here?
Let's see. We have.
You got to get a little closer to the mic, Mary.
Okay. Yeah, I push back. We have tres ciruelas, which is 3 plums, 3 yums. And if y'all would like to taste that. And it's called tres ciruelas because I am of Mexican heritage. Yo soy mexicana. And I like plums. There you go. Tell me what you think.
That is yummy.
So it's
3 yummies.
Yeah, 3 different plums, 3 different kinds of plums.
Very good.
Now, if you like to drink, which,
What do you mean drink? What's
a
that?
Mexican I drink.
Is this a margarita?
No, but we do have one that's like a margarita.
You got to be kidding.
Is called
we got a margarita jam?
This is called Kamikaze Plum. This is plum jam with sake. We put liquor in some of our jams, but they're only for grown-ups.
So we can't give my kids that?
Yes,
Actually,
you can.
most of my kids
the alcohol is cooked out.
low.
Kids can have it. What I tell
Those are very
children
good.
is I don't want
Those
to
are
give
excellent.
them samples of jam with alcohol, because if they like it, then there's less alcohol for me.
So, Eloise, you don't have to answer real quick because I know you're testing there. What do you think of our Teamster Advantage program? What do you think of this network that we have of more than 1,000 small businesses where we're promoting them? And you know, what we wanted to do is make sure that our members and the community understands how valuable the small business community is, because that's what makes a community thrive.
Randy, without a doubt, that's so important. That's why every year we have our Small Business of the Year that we recognize. And it's so difficult for us to just recognize one. So we always have our 25 finalists. And with the 25 finalists, we then pick the one. Mm-hmm. But our small businesses, it's a cliche perhaps, but it's absolutely the truth. They are the backbone of our community. They're the ones that sponsor the little leagues. They're the ones that sponsor the soccer teams. They're the ones that are employing more people than any other industry.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of times what happens is a small business network is through the Chamber of Commerce, and I don't know if you're aware, but we're in 26 chambers. Teamsters Local 1932 is in 26 chambers of commerce in the IE, because what we're trying to do is bring the awareness of this subject. And I know the chamber says, well, that's what we do, but sometimes the chamber is running corporate America's message a bit too much. Matter of fact, most of the time they are, which is why we have chosen to get into that space. No other union participates in the chamber like we do. And what we're just trying to do is be present. And basically, when we see things out of whack, say, hey, wait a minute. We treat the small business community very much like the working class, because they're that's exactly who you are.
That's who we are.
And trying to make that amalgamation in the community, because it's not, there's common interests there where more can be done if we work together, versus villainizing a lot of times what corporate America come up with this message at the National Chamber of Commerce, run it through the state chamber, and then try to get all the local chambers. And then sometimes the chambers are working against their own best interest based on the message.
Chamber,
a little closer.
In the Yucaipa Chamber of Commerce, because I'm on the board of directors for the Yucaipa Chamber, and one of the things that we are doing right now is reinventing ourselves and looking to be very, very active in promoting our small businesses. The Yucaipa Chamber is made up of more small businesses than large businesses, and it's very important to us that we support and promote those businesses in Yucaipa.
We're with you on that, Mary.
Eloise, would you like to close on anything? Because can you stay with us after the break for a minute, or do you have to get going?
I'm told I can stay for 10 minutes.
Okay, well, we have a mandatory 6-minute break at the top of the hour for news. A mandatory 2-minute? Oh, I got 2 minutes. Okay. See, this is where the rookie status comes in.
Then let me tell you. Let me tell you about a few more bills that we got through to the governor's desk.
Yeah, absolutely.
We also have one for high schools. Early voter registration can be done at 16, 17-year-olds. You pre-register, and by the time you turn 18, you are automatically registered. And we want to make sure our high schools are doing this for our students.
Civic responsibility, getting them to understand it.
Absolutely. I want them to be early voters and to really be engaged. Also for our college students, oftentimes there's food insecurity. They may have an EBT card. We need to make sure that there's an EBT vendor on every campus, and that's also on the governor's desk.
Oh, good. Any other bills you want to talk about?
I do, but I just heard we've got 30 seconds to go. Our associate teachers permits for early childhood education, we want to make sure they can continue to get those. They can continue to get the permits without any limits. And that's also on the governor's desk. Federal housing vouchers, make sure we can use those vouchers and we don't lose them if for our Section 8 and what have you.
This is Randy Corrigan with the Worker Power Hour. We're going to go to a break, and we'll get back to you on the other side of the mandatory news hour with NBC.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932. Protect Protecting the future of working
Thank
families.
you.
Teamsters 1932.org.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Taylor. Hurricane Francine is closing in on the Louisiana coastline. Jesse Kirsch reports from New Orleans.
This is going to be the 7th hurricane to make landfall in Louisiana in the last 8 years, an unusually high number. So officials have said that at this point, we are past the point when you should be evacuating. Now is the time to be sheltering in place, to be bunkering down to ride out the storm. It's going to be a busy night in terms of weather out here.
Francine remains a Category 1 storm with maximum sustained winds of 90 miles per hour. New York City is remembering those lost 23 years ago with the annual 9/11 commemoration ceremony in Lower Manhattan. Jennifer Polsoni reports.
Family members of the victims of the 2001 and 1993 World Trade Center attacks doing the traditional reading of the names of those lost.
And my grandfather, firefighter Robert James Crawford.
And my brother, TJ Hargrave, who, like all of your loved ones, was taken from us way too soon.
Lisa Taylor, NBC News Radio.
For over 75 years, the Marine Toys for Tots program has provided toys and emotional support to economically disadvantaged children, primarily during the holidays. But needs are not just seasonal, and now, neither is Toys for Tots. They've expanded their outreach to support families in need all year long, with their new programs, including the Foster Care Initiative, the Native American Program, and the Youth Ambassador Program. To learn how you can help, visit toysfortots.org.
Are you looking for a good union job? The Inland Empire's 14,000 member strong Teamsters Local 1932 has opened a training center to get working people trained and placed in open positions in public service clerical work and in jobs in the logistics industry. This is a new opportunity to advance your career and raise standards across the region. Visit 1932trainingcenter.org to enroll today. That's 1932trainingcenter.org.
What would you do if you had a broken bone? You'd go to the doctor and use your insurance, right? Well, what would you do if you have a serious problem with drugs and alcohol? Most people do nothing until it's way too late. Your insurance can help you get clean and sober with the assistance of a place like the Detox and Treatment Helpline. Many times, addiction treatment is fully covered. So why not use your insurance to treat your addiction problem just like you would if you had a broken bone? And with the Family Medical Leave Act, you're allowed to take time off by law, and your employer doesn't need to know the reason. So there are two good reasons. You've got insurance you can use for your addiction problem, and with the Family Medical Leave Act, it's completely confidential. Call now, 800-398-7414. That's 800-398-7414.
Hi, I'm Kaylee Spear, a licensed agent with Litchfield Insurance Associates here in Beaumont. A large portion of Americans don't have life insurance or don't have enough. Whether you need a temporary policy, something to help with income during retirement, or making sure your final expenses are taken care of, having life insurance is an act of love and security for your whole family. Having a local trusted agent makes navigating through the sometimes complex world of life insurance so much easier. And I would love to be the one to help you. I'm Kaylee Spear. For your free consultation, people are calling 951-769-0005. 951-769-0005.
Welcome to the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan, a brand new show about labor and worker issues. The host of the show is Randy Corrigan, Secretary, Treasurer, and Principal Office and leader of Teamsters 1932, one of the largest public sector labor unions on the West Coast, representing workers in government and non-sworn law enforcement personnel. Randy Corrigan is a 30-year Teamster who first became involved in the labor movement by volunteering his time as an organizer with the Teamsters Union at the age of 21. Since then, he's helped thousands organize, mobilize, and achieve bargaining rights. He accomplished this by spending countless hours with brave men and women all over Southern California, in their living rooms, on the picket line, to bring workers towards victory. This is the Worker Power Hour. And now here's the host of the show, Randy Corrigan.
We're back. Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan, KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. So, just so you know, Mark, on the second hour, we don't have to do that introduction, the description of me on the second hour. I feel like I'm self-grandizing by doing that.
I thought you liked it. I thought you were that important.
I don't know. What we'll do, hey, all of you that are listening, why don't you tell us whether or not we play that a second time? I don't think we need to play it a second time. We play it the first time on the introduction. I get it. This is right after the news or 6-minute break. Maybe we play it again. Let me know. Feel free to text me, email me, let someone on the team know whether or not we should replay that introduction.
I vote that you
some good
replay
bumper
it.
music.
Really?
Yes.
You
I
think we
do.
should
Yes, I
replay it?
do. People have very short attention spans, and they may forget who you are in those 6 minutes.
Oh, people! I've seen it happen my whole life where people get forgot real quick.
Yeah, it's like, oh, wait, who are you?
Right, who's that guy again? Who's that lady? What? They were here 35 years. John, Sue, who was that again?
I think you need to keep reminding people.
Okay. Well, that's two.
that is-
I'm outnumbered here. I've already lost this vote.
There you go.
Robert, what's your vote? Do we have it at the top of the hour again, or do we not have it? You don't think we should have it? Okay, so now we're tied. We need somebody to do a break to break this vote up to where it's now. We'll do an.
There we go.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, like people want another poll right now. Like every day I get like 5 of them with all this politics that are going on right now. It's another poll for you. But those of you, matter of fact, some people have been texting me right now. If you're still listening live, text me whether or not you think we should keep that in or whether you don't. What I'll do is if next week, when you listen next week, that will tell you whether or not the majority, which way you went. And if only 2 people text me, actually, if only one person texts, that will be the tiebreaker on whether or not we do it. And we can also ask the staff. You know, I don't want the staff to think that they feel obligated at the local. Well, no, Randy, we need to hear your name. Like, really, do we really need it? Be honest. Do we need it that second time? If the listeners think we need it, great. If not, no. And look, I just killed another 3 minutes, right? Mary, thanks for being flexible
Of course.
and working Eloise in. She had another scheduling issue that was really important.
Of course.
And so I figured I'd jump her in.
Works for me.
Get her to. And so let's talk a little bit more about this Teamster Advantage jam here. It's my favorite jam. I know I haven't tasted the rest of them, but
Well, it should be your favorite jam.
I'm just stoked that we've got a name on something like this to where we've got our own jam. We got our own jelly. You know? And what's the difference between jelly and jam?
Oh, that is so simple. I get asked that a lot. If you make a jam, you cut up the fruit into small pieces or bigger pieces, depending upon what kind of fruit. And then when you cook it, it cooks down, but you still have pieces of fruit in your product. When you make a jelly, you juice the fruit.
Oh.
And so there's only
okay.
juice and you don't have pieces. It's a texture issue and not so much a taste issue. I prefer jam. I like my jellies, but I prefer jam because I like that texture.
I am 53 years old. For those of you that don't know, I just celebrated a birthday last week, so now I'm 53, not 52 anymore.
Oh, you young thing.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I've gone 53 years, and I just found out the difference between jelly and jam.
Oh, well, let me blow your mind. There's also preserves. Because when you make a preserve, it is more like a jam, but you use whole fruit or large chunks of fruit. So a lot of people like strawberry preserves. And so when I make a preserve, I will cut the strawberries in half and just start cooking it there. So you have big chunks.
I love strawberry jam, jelly, preserve.
We make a strawberry jam called strawberry hibiscus.
And people can get Teamster Advantage jam.
Yes, they can.
Like everything else, they can get it from your Yucaipa store, correct?
Yes, they can. On California Street in
You
Yucaipa.
better be busting the doors
we have
down, everybody.
Teamster Advantage. And Teamster Advantage is a very complicated jam. You first start by putting plums in a big casserole, a baking dish, and you fill it with certain spices like cardamom. We put cinnamon, we put vanilla, and you bake that. You roast it. So you have to roast the fruit first. It gives it a different taste. And once I roast the fruit, then we take it out, we let it cool for just a little bit, and go ahead and food process it.
So for all the foodies that are our listeners, because we have a lot of them, it seems like whenever we talk about food on our show, I get lots of emails and texts. Everybody's like,
"Oh, food is universal."
Yeah.
Everybody's
like, "Oh, describe the food better." There, you can't get a better description of the food than Mary's providing right now.
So once we do that, then we go ahead and add the other ingredients with it, some sugar, and I also, because I know Mark. And I know other Teamsters. My daughter's a Teamster. Teamsters drink. We put red wine in the Teamster Advantage jam. So it has a little bit of alcohol in it, but you can't get drunk. That's a whole nother license. So I don't have a permit to sell alcohol. So the alcohol content cooks out, but you still are left with that flavor. We make jams with tequila.
You're stereotyping us.
Well, I am Mexican, so I drink. I am also from New Orleans, so I drink. But the main reason I drink, I was a middle school teacher for 38 years. I drink,
You're still recovering.
I retired over 6 years ago, and I drink.
Oh, middle school. Thank you for your service of being a middle school teacher. What a tough age to be a teacher for.
I enjoyed it. The students I taught weren't general education students. I taught emotionally disturbed middle school students.
So even more challenging, yeah.
But wonderful kids. Absolutely wonderful. I'm still in touch with a number of them that I had when they were in 6th grade. They're all grown up now. So.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Anything else you want to share on the Teamster Advantage side? You got a couple more for me to taste?
I do.
Oh,
okay, you said you like things that
so
are
we
got to
get the
spicy.
sandwich shop to come in and bring like 14.
Yeah.
Now, I know we did this with Cornerstone Barbecue. Cornerstone actually brought in a huge thing, and we didn't taste it. I was afraid to start doing tasting the barbecue because we had made a mess of this place.
Yep.
So what do we got now?
This is called Cowboy Candy. This is a sweet pickled
got a pop to it.
jalapeno.
Yeah.
Yes. First you get a little sweet, and then you get some heat.
That's very good.
So we make spicy jams too. Now,
That's very
we were
good.
talking about.
That's very good.
Look, you like that, huh?
Yeah. I like
It's
that.
not too hot though.
No, it what it does is it comes in on the backside. Like
Yes.
you said, you get the sweet first, and then
Absolutely.
and then a little
that's
bit of
with
spice.
all of our hot jams and all of our hot products.
So I've never thought of putting a jelly or a jam on my toast. Spicy. What would I put it on?
Oh, a spicy jam. You put that over cream cheese. And
on
you
a bagel.
eat that with crackers, or with
Crackers.
tortilla chips.
Oh, there you go.
And that is
with tortilla
absolutely
chips. You
heaven.
do like a dip.
Mhm.
You could.
Yep.
That's a.
Now, my cowboy candy, I put on brats and on burgers, and when I make deviled eggs.
That would be amazing on brats.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. All right.
I cook with most of our jams and jellies. Now, this is a barbecue sauce. My son created this barbecue sauce. It is called Bubba's Bourbon Barbecue because I like alliteration.
That's pretty good. All you listeners out there, you're missing out.
Yeah, it's a little bit spicy.
But it's not as spicy as that jam was.
No, that's a cowboy candy. It's a little bit spicy. You get that bourbon flavor. It's a little bit smoky.
Do we have any ginger here so I could cleanse my palate?
I
I'm just
wish
kidding.
I had known. I make ginger jam.
Oh, of course you do.
Well,
but of course.
Name the fruit, and I make a jam. Okay, this one is a very weird jam.
And you're not going to describe it?
Well,
before
it's
I try
actually
it?
a jelly. It is called muscat. And you like, you know what muscats are. When I was a kid in the 60s.
It reminds me of something. I'm trying to think.
Okay,
what it
when I was a
reminds me
kid in the 60s, we used to roam wild. You know, we'd go to my grandparents' house in Mississippi, and nobody fed us lunch. You scavenged. You ate whatever was growing. And so in Mississippi, big juicy grapes called muscadines and scuppernongs were grown. And yeah, Mark knows muscadine. Are you Southern, Mark?
Yes.
It's a Southern
Yes,
thing.
he is.
And so we would eat muscadines. Muscadines are a great big purple grape. with very tough skins. And so you put it in your mouth, you bite down on the grape, the fruit pops out into your mouth, and then you spit out the skin because it's too tough to chew. But it has a very musky flavor. My husband wanted to grow muscadines for me. And he grew grapes. He accidentally grew a muscadine. And when I go pick fruit, I eat while I pick because that's what I did as a kid. And so I popped this grape in my mouth and I bit it and I went, oh my God. And so with the grape still in my mouth, I called my father, who's from Mississippi, who was still alive. I said, Dad, Ralph grew me muscadines. I said, but they're not purple. They're green. And my dad was from Mississippi. He said, well, Mary, because that's what he called me, Mary, that's not a muscadine. That's a scuppernong. So that vine didn't live. And plus, you're not supposed to have those in California because they're invasive.
Oh.
So we couldn't get any more muscadines or scuppernongs. And so Ralph found me muscats, which is a California grape that he says is not related to a muscadine, but it tastes just like a muscadine. So it's got that musky flavor. This is not your little kid's grape jelly. This is a grown-up grape jelly because it has a different flavor.
All I got to say is, do I got another one to taste?
I got 3 more if you want.
Oh,
you got
my
time?
goodness.
I'll
do one more.
Okay, I'm Southern and I'm Mexican. I like to feed people. So, okay, this is a very special jam. This is one of our newer jams. And this is called Canine Alita. And I heard about Officer Brenda Salas and her canine officer. And Alita was her dog, and he died. She died. And so I made a jam in their honor.
Oh, that was...
So we have Canine Alita jam, and it is a plum again. Apparently, I brought all plum today. I don't know why.
I noticed that. I figured you liked plum.
Well, I do. And plus, oh, Lord, the plums have been prolific this year. So we have a lot of plum
because of the
products.
wet winter?
I think it's because we had so much rain.
Yep.
And our stone fruits have just...
It's gone crazy.
Yep. Yeah. So that was Canine Alita, and part of the proceeds from this jam will go to our Yucaipa Police Department. So that's just one of the things that we do.
Well, Mary, thank you for coming on, and thank you for being such an amazing Teamster Advantage partner. All I got to say is I am blown away by these jams, the taste, the flavors, how different they are. Mm-hmm. This is, don't you have like a tasting scenario set up?
Yes, we do. You come into my store,
and you just
I'll
taste
give you all kinds of samples. If you come and see us up in Oak Glen, especially on the 28th and 29th of September, it's Teamster Day. Then come up and see us. We have free samples, and I think you'll have a lovely time. It's a beautiful place to bring families at the Oak Glen Schoolhouse Museum.
Oak Glen Schoolhouse Museum in Oak Glen. Amazing place to be, too. It's beautiful. Because you're at a little over 4,000 foot elevation there, and so it's a little cooler, especially in September. It's actually
and we
great
will
time
be
of the
there
year.
this weekend.
Oh,
we
good.
will be there this weekend. So we invite people to come. We know that the fires have people concerned. Of course, I live very close to where the fires were. I live in Upper Yucaipa, and it's kind of scary. But if you want a little bit of respite from all the concern about the fires, come on up to Oak Glen and stop by the Schoolhouse Museum. Parking is free. There's free picnic area. The museum is free. There's a playground for kids and a dog park. Wonderful place to come.
Well, Mary, thank you for coming on. Thank you for being a Teamster Advantage partner and being a part of our network. And thank you for filling in for somebody that couldn't make it today because of the fire.
Absolutely.
Very spontaneous, and then with gifts like you did. Absolutely amazing, and all of you listeners should make your way over to her shop and make sure that you get and purchase the Teamster Advantage Jam.
Yeah, but it'd be terrible if I ran out before the 29th. I'd have to make more.
Let me one up this. If you go and you buy the Teamster Advantage Jam from her shop, and you show us proof of your purchase at the local union, we will give you a T-shirt.
Oh, there you
free.
go. I like that. And show your Teamster Advantage card at my shop, and you get $1 off.
So not only do you get the $1 off at the shop, you make sure that you show proof of purchase at the building. So obviously the office that's listening in right now live, we'll have to figure out how to manage that.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure we get you a free shirt
Yeah.
because I'm excited at the fact that we have our own jam, and we're gonna have to have some fun with this. So thanks
All
for
right.
coming on, Mary.
Thank you very
Can
much.
you just take me to a real quick musical break here for about 90 seconds, Mark, please? Randy Corrigan here, back on the Worker Power Hour, KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. So, longtime organizer, first-time radio host. A little choppy today, having to flop some things around. Hopefully, it's seamless on the other side when you're listening in. If it does seem to be choppy, my apologies. This is where my rookie status comes in, and I get to exploit that. You know, it's I want to follow up with something that we saw some traction on some social media outlets, which was the AB 98 discussion argument. In the Inland Empire, as you heard me talk about a bill, AB 701, from many years ago. I forget, I'll be honest with you, I forget what year it is. It got passed, it was probably 7 years ago. And other bills, Eloise, you know, like, can you remind me which bill? I understand that because when you're having to manage that many of them and support them, you need to have an understanding of what the nuts and bolts of that you're referring to. But I do understand that there were some groups that wanted to know whether or not I was going to call her out on it not being aggressive enough or going far enough with the environmental standards. It's you know, you're more than welcome to send me an email. I'll get the email up here in a quick second when Robert comes back in. But, you know, feel free to send me an email, and if you want to come in on the show and you want to talk about your perspective on a subject like this, especially if you're one of the environmental groups that we've probably worked with over time, we partner with them in many different ways. That is radio show at teamsters1932.org. You can actually do that from over there. I can see you through the glass. Yeah, I gotta love Mark. Mark actually walked out of the engineer room and came over here so I could see that. Can you hold that up one more time for me so I can just say it? So, look, if you disagree or you want to have a discussion, do radio show at teamsters1932.org. Send us an email and we can either add you to the show or add the content or discuss it, bring it into the discussion. We did pick up a little bit of that on some social media, and I want to raise the issue. Sometimes we work in environmental groups and sometimes we don't. Most of the time we do, because most of your environmental policies that are in America were actually born out of something labor related. In other words, before there were any rules, environmental rules in place to protect water, to protect safety, to protect anything when it came to either protecting the public, consumers, or workers, the only place that actually any protection appeared was in a union contract. Simply, it was the only place it appeared. And so, as a union, we're clearly supportive. However, what happens is there becomes a balance between what is environmentally friendly and what is going to drive jobs or kill jobs, and so on and so forth. I'll give you an example there. I forget what the bill was here recently. Somebody, I'm not going to mention his name in the area because we absolutely disagree with that individual, that the person propped up a bill that every single truck in the IE had to be electric by a certain period of time. That was literally unmanageable. And so being the ambassadors of the trucking industry like we have for over 100 years, having zero discussion with the Teamsters about how a bill being proposed in California would negatively affect the jobs we represent, and never talking to us in my mind, is just ridiculous and dumb. It makes no sense. There is nobody in America that's going to understand this industry like we do. Nobody. I know that there's all these economists and professionals and these people that have claimed to be experts in the industry, and they're not. That's not true. They are, but they're not to the degree that we have been for clearly more than 100 years. Again, we have represented this industry, the transportation industry, since there were horses and buggies. And we dealt with the conversion of power vehicles. We dealt with the conversion of trucks. We dealt with the conversion of doubles and triples and rules on the road before there were any DOT standards, before there were any hours standards of you can't drive too long. We helped create all of these regulations over the last 100 years. And so when elected officials forget to talk to us about what makes sense for the industry and what's the appropriate balance, at least from the worker's perspective, doesn't mean it's from the environmental person's perspective. So I invite you. There's a couple environmental groups I've actually invited on multiple times. I've actually challenged them to listen to the show. I don't know if they listen to the show like they said that they would. Really, at the end of the day, if they choose not to and then want to complain about it later because AB 98 doesn't go far enough, okay, well, let's have a conversation about why you think it's got to go further, what more it's got to do, or how it's come up short. Or is it going too far and hurting an industry like many will claim, at least like corporate interests will claim, that it's going to destroy an industry? And at least labor unions, and from my perspective, we've always worked pretty much in concert with environmental groups most of the time. Then there's times that we're on the opposite sides of subjects because for whatever reason we can't see eye to eye. And that happens. It's okay to agree to disagree, and what's important for us to do is to talk through them and find compromise and find resolution. And so I want to bring up a couple other subjects, like that AB 701 subject. It was very important to me as someone who represented an industry for over 2 decades, for actually over 30 years, actually, in one way or another, of representing warehouse workers and having a bill to where it's at least the non-union operations had some level of responsibility when it came to their production standards. And does it go? Did AB 701 go far enough? No, it didn't. It needed to go further. But you have to start somewhere too. What goes far enough is a collective bargaining agreement. And the reason I'm bringing this up again is that all these protections need to be resolved for the most part within the confines of a union contract. And so, again, I would have, even though we did see, Robert, is there anything I should cover on some of the things that went back and forth on social media regarding, what should have been covered regarding the subject? And unfortunately, with a couple, issues that we had scheduling, we couldn't have Eloise on long, but she can definitely come on a bit longer. I know about what it's like to be in a position of criticizing something that's going to be on the governor's desk because it doesn't go far enough. I get that. I respect that. I've been in that bucket many times. Matter of fact, 20 years ago when there was a whole bunch of bills being passed regarding temporary workers, I never felt like any of those bills went far enough and they didn't deal with the problem. And now you can look back, they actually didn't deal with the problem. And the problem is these corporations are just trying to skirt their accountability, as in the Amazon example with their DSP model, or these other huge corporations that subcontract something out, dump their responsibility on a small business owner, and then claim, those aren't our employees. It's not our responsibility. And these small businesses get cratered. They get destroyed. They go into bankruptcy. Many times they put their personal credit up, and they end up ruining their own personal credit, thinking, this should be great for me because I'm going to be connected to this huge corporation. So I understand and respect that sometimes there's going to be some very lively debate on a subject like this, and it's okay to agree to disagree. It's okay to just get the facts out, and then at the end of the day, you allow people to make a decision. Ultimately, in the end, we let the voters make a decision. And so, yeah, we need to have. Thank you for pointing that out, Robert. One of these days, we're just going to give you a microphone. He's shy; he doesn't want to be on the microphone. Hold that up again. What he did is he wrote here, we don't need to be enemies with environmental groups. We need to have conversations. That's a very good way to put it. Thank you, Robert. Really appreciate you spelling it out that way. We really don't need to be enemies on almost anything. like the reality is if we're looking to find enemies, you can always find an enemy. You can always pick a fight. You can pick a fight with a really good, real close person, and then create an enemy if you're looking for an enemy. The reality is if you're looking to solve problems and have good conversations, then compromise can be reached and resolution can be created. That is part of the political problem in this country right now. As a matter of fact, we're going to have, on the political side of things, this sort of energy around it, we finally did get a hold of the young Republican chair, correct, Robert? And they're going to be coming on pretty soon. We thought they were ducking and dodging us. Maybe they were on vacation. Because we did have the young Dem on, and we want to have the young Republican on. And we're good with Republicans and Democrats, and anybody who wants to come on the show and have a good conversation about supporting working people. I'm not going to let you come on the show and talk bad about working people. I'm not going to let you come on the show and talk bad about unions. I'm not going to let you come on the show and be, this, anti-union sort of rhetoric. You're going to get if you want to come on the show and say that that's what you are, and you want to get into a nice little debate, I'm good with that too. But we're not going to just let you sit back and run an agenda that's negative on the working people. The working people have heard enough of that over the last few decades, quite frankly, over the last 50 years. And so that's good. Okay, so this is the young Republicans chair, and his name is Victor, and he supports unions. Well, that's good. Let's keep him. Nothing wrong with him being a Republican. I am a former Republican, and we have lots of our members that are great members that are Republicans. And, Republicans can vote for Democrats, and Democrats can vote for Republicans. That is what we're supposed to do when it comes to issues, and we should be stuck to those issues that support labor. And that is the purpose of the show, is to not get into the partisan divide and argument of everything must be right if it has to do with my party, and everything is wrong if it doesn't have to do with my party. That is where you don't get any resolution done. And so with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get back into some of the news that we had or that I skipped over because I was running a bit. I was trying to speed the show up with Eloise Reyes coming on a little earlier. And so more Amazon drivers in Illinois are organizing with the Teamsters. This one I happen to know a little bit about. The demand for union recognition. So here's a really cool thing that's going on here when it comes to workers organizing. Like that earlier shot that I said, Mark, did you bring us in a treat here? There you go. What is this? Little something, something. Got you cleansing the palate here from all the jam earlier.
It's a Slurpee break.
Oh man, I love Slurpees. It's so good. Man, I gotta do that again. Oh, sorry for the pause, everybody. That's pretty good. So, drivers in Illinois, there are 5 DSPs that work at this location. It's called DIL7. They are a number of DSPs. It's called delivery service providers that work in a delivery station. In other words, Amazon claims that none of them are Amazon employees. Amazon claims they have no responsibility for them, even though every one of them drives an Amazon van. Every one of them has an Amazon uniform, has Amazon equipment, and Amazon tells them where to pick up packages and what to do all day and when to take your break. So, man, what a scam Amazon has laid on the American public. And there are 300,000 drivers that are in this bucket in the United States. It has exploded in size in the last decade, enormous. There were none of them 10 years ago, and obviously now there's over 300,000 of them. And what is significant about this is that these workers have demanded recognition across all these DSPs on Amazon directly. In other words, they've skipped over the owner-operators, the owners of the DSPs, the contractors. They've skipped over them. They said, Amazon, we believe you, these workers in Illinois, in Skokie, Illinois, are saying, Amazon, we believe you are responsible, and you need to take responsibility for these jobs and the working conditions in these jobs. Man, my hat's off to them. You know, if we had like an applause, like, yay, or one of those sound effects that go, you know, that's where you're supposed to be jumping in here. Anyway, point is I was just talking to Marky Poo, they're over on the board now trying to find it. Anyway, these workers demanded recognition. So this is a significant point because what these workers understand is that their contractors don't have the control over their operations and Amazon does. And so at this specific location, these workers have clearly taken it directly to Amazon and calling Amazon out on it. And so now Teamsters Local 705 in conjunction with the International Amazon Division are working collectively to hold Amazon accountable. And let's keep our eye on that activity. Clearly, I'm connected to it. I'm the national director for Amazon, so I'm well aware of what's going on there. This is an amazing, for those of you that are on social media and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, you got to find these workers' videos. These workers have got some amazing videos. Some of them have had over 1 million views. And I'm talking about the workers directly from Skokie. These workers are on fire. They're doing an incredible job, and we're going to keep a very close eye on this group, and at least from a reporting standpoint when it comes to the show itself. The other thing in the news is Vice President Kamala Harris is going to attend the Teamster Rank and File Presidential Roundtable. The International Brotherhood of Teamsters will host a Rank and File Presidential Roundtable with Vice President Kamala Harris on September 16th in Washington, D.C. at our IBT building. Harris has committed to meet with the union members and meet with the General Executive Board, General President Sean O'Brien, and General Secretary Treasurer Fred Zuckerman. I was just with both of them just a couple days ago today's Wednesday. I was with them on Monday at a meeting we had in Phoenix, a regional meeting we had in Phoenix, giving reports, and it was good to hear the report. And, it was also interesting to hear how everybody's jumped to all these conclusions of, the Teamsters endorsed Trump and this and that and the negativity that's come from it. I clearly don't agree with the negativity that's come from some of those comments. I know Mark and I had a real robust debate about this subject, just a month or so ago, just before Biden had announced he was going to step down, or it's not step down, but Biden was going to announce that he didn't run, was not going to run for re-election. And I think that, now that the schedules have lined up for Vice President Kamala Harris to come in, I'm assuming once that concludes, then the International Union will take its position on the endorsement. There's no rush in a sense that, ballots don't go out until sometime in October. So we have plenty of time. They have plenty of time to issue an endorsement or a non-endorsement or whatever they decide whatever that group decides to do. And so that's good news that the parties being Harris's camp and the International Union have worked out their schedules for everybody to get together. There you go. Should be louder though. Yay! That's for the Amazon drivers, by the way. That's not for the elected officials, right? Oh, so what else in news do we got going on? Now, what's that for? All right, so the next thing in news is more than 10,000 U.S. hotel workers strike on Labor Day weekend. Well, if you're gonna strike, there's no better date to strike, but a hotel on a Labor Day weekend when everybody's trying to relax. You want to catch everybody's attention. I know many years ago when I was just becoming an organizer, I actually watched a picket line happen at a funeral. Imagine that one. Workers were organizing at a cemetery, and the cemetery wouldn't agree to a contract. And so, yeah, Mark's looking at me like I'm crazy right now. It actually happened. I witnessed it. I was there. It was a little tough, a little uncomfortable. Imagine a picket line while people are grieving for their that's tough. They ultimately ended up getting a contract. Obviously, a lot of people were uncomfortable and upset.
You didn't run up and down the street screaming this is a civil matter?
No, I did not. I did not. And Mark has said he's going to interject something funny into this show in the future about that comment being a civil matter. But no, I did not run up and that was a tough one for me. I was a new organizer and watched that. But for those of you that don't know, there's a lot of cemeteries, mortuaries that are union across the country. As a matter of fact, Chicago, almost all of the Chicago mortuary morticians in that entire industry is organized. They're almost all Teamsters. We'll have that as one of our Teamster shows. Anyway, back to Labor Day, 10,000 hotel workers strike on Labor Day weekend. Thousands of U.S. hotel workers went on strike on Labor Day for improved pay and conditions in a dispute likely to disrupt many Labor Day weekend holiday travelers amid union warnings and with an industrial action that can escalate. More than 10,000 workers walked off the job in the hotels in Boston, Seattle, Honolulu, Greenwich, Connecticut, and as well as some California cities, including San Francisco, San Diego, and San Jose after contract talks fell apart. So staff, they're demanding wage increases and a reversal of some pandemic-era job cuts that union organizers say has increased the workload of remaining workers and imposed painful working conditions. One of the conditions, or one of the things we see, the economy still robust in the area of travel. There's still a lot of people that are traveling, hotel rooms, going on vacation. As much as you would think that the way everybody talks about how bad everything is, it's a bit surprising to see that eating out and travel and hotels and all that stuff is still a part of the economy that's doing very well, and it's important for those businesses to be sharing the wealth with their employees. So, Robert, do I have anything else? All right. So this is where we get to the part of the show where we've got 2 hours, and I've got 15 minutes left on the backside. And I think what I'm going to do is just take a couple minutes to talk about a couple things here, wrap this show up early. And what we'll do is, what will we play on the backside of this if I wrap this show, let's say 10 minutes early? Just music for 10 minutes? Is that what we do? Yeah, what's that? Oh, yeah. Go ahead and bring that over here so I can announce it. I'm sorry for being choppy, everybody. We're trying to fill in some spots that got vacated today. So October 7th, there's a Teamsters warehouse and distribution training. Participants. This is for the training center, the Teamsters 1932 Training Center. Prepare for entry-level union employment with this 6-week pre-employment training program at no cost to you. This free training is open to anyone 18 years and up. Participants will receive OSHA 10 certification, resume and job application assistance, individual career counseling. It starts it'll be from October 7th to November 13th on Mondays and Wednesdays at 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And I am going to get Becky, who's the person in charge. She's the executive director of the training center. I'm going to get her on the show at some point. No? I know she's ducking and dodging me. No, I'm going to get her on the show. We're just going to actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to get her husband Lucky on the show, and then we'll get him to somehow hook her to get her on the show. But she does an amazing job, especially with camp. And for those of you who don't know, she's the executive director for that, but she also runs Youth Helpers and does the kids camp that we sponsor and that hundreds and hundreds of union kids go to every summer up in Big Bear. And so with that, I'd like to close the show out by saying we're building worker power in the Inland Empire. And one of the things that we're doing to build worker power is we have a Think a Teamster program. We're making sure that our members are respected in their jobs. We are making sure that the job classifications and the hundreds and hundreds of jobs in which Teamsters do in the IE are recognized as essential and important, and they're more familiar to you than the general public realizes. And so the radio show, the billboards, the buses, the Think a Teamster program that we're doing is all about building worker power on the job and encouraging other workers to build worker power. And so what does that mean? That means if more and more workers are wanting to be in a union environment and want collective bargaining, they have to organize and get a collective bargaining agreement to achieve that. And so what we want to do is show them that pathway and show them and give them the example by listening to other workers in this space that already have that collective bargaining and already have that worker power, that what it's going to take to achieve that pathway and achieve those goals. And how can you build worker power? First, talk to your friends, talk to your family, and talk to your neighbors. We can see that corporate America has absolutely gotten their way in the last few decades, actually last 4 decades. Corporate America has pulled all the money out of the system. They've making it to where healthcare is extremely unaffordable. They're making it to where there are very little retirement vehicles. All this money that they have taken out of the system, they've put in their pockets, in a handful of rich people's pockets, and for the sake of what they call shareholders, which they're typically the majority shareholders in how they get the money, they've pulled it out and ripped benefits and good working conditions away from the workforce. And they've done it while trying to convince the workforce that unions are bad. And so clearly us thinking a Teamster, us building this awareness within the community when it comes to unions and showing the natural spaces for us to all collaborate and how important good unions are for a good community, it's going to be productive and everybody benefits from that. If we allow corporate America to continue to go on the pace that they want to go on, their theory is just give us everything and trust us that we're going to do just fine, that we don't need any rules, according to them. They don't need any guardrails. They don't need any parameters or regulations. And just give them all of they'll make the opportunity happen if you give us the tax breaks, you give us the money, you don't over restrict us. Well, in America's history, in the nearly 250-year history, we've tested that theory, and clearly corporate America has failed every single time you give them full reign. There are exceptions to the rule, but they are very far and few between. Most of those corporations completely take advantage of the circumstances, and it goes all the way back to the formation of this country in 1776, where landowners thought that it was okay to own your labor. And it took 100 years, nearly 100 years, to just break that cycle. And then, even from that point, still labor never gained the respect that it should have gained up until the 1950s. So it took nearly 200 years to get some sense of balance. And I'm not saying equality, I'm saying some sense of balance. Corporate America, whether you go back to the industrialists, you go back to the landowners, you go back to the super wealthy of that era, compared to today, they don't have a good long stretch of doing the right thing when it comes to working people. About the best time frame you can point to is somewhere in the mid 60s, early 60s, maybe as much as the late 50s, up until about the late 70s or early 80s. And then corporate America went on a tear in the late 70s and early 80s, and just started to pound on unions and pound on workers and really rip back everything that was gained from the 1960s to the 1980s. So you can really only look at a couple decades. And ironically, those happen to be the very same decades that unionization was at its all-time high. And 36% of the workforce in the 1960s was unionized. And so ironically, at the same time, corporate America was being responsible. They provided good benefits and retirement vehicles and paid people good wages, and workers could buy homes and buy goods and services, and the money recirculated itself through the economy. And so clearly corporate America cannot be trusted without some rules. The best rule for a worker to have is a union contract. And the reason why we're encouraging people to build worker power, and our entire message is around worker power, is because it was worker power that broke this mold in the 1930s, that created pathways for workers to organize. It was worker power that in the 1950s broke through the civil rights movement and broke through the issues around equality for everybody, and finally started to get into the mainstream. It was worker power that led every single rule to protect workers in America, every law that's on the books, every regulation that's in place. Worker power led all those charges. Policy came behind it later, and then memorialized what that fight was in any of those areas when it came to worker power. So we are pushing that message back up of how important worker power is, because we know what it can accomplish when workers and working people and the community come together, be reasonable, which most of the time they are. Everybody says, oh, they're not being reasonable, they're marching in the streets. Well, I think that if they're marching in the streets, they're probably being reasonable now. They're tired of someone being unreasonable. Anyway, point is it takes a movement of worker power to get these things done. And so we're encouraging it. We're working with it. We're helping build it. We're right in the center of it, and we're having a great time. And so this is Randy Corrigan with the Worker Power Hour, KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. Long-time organizer, first-time radio host. I am going to sign off, and you are going to go to music. See you next week, everybody.
International, first class seat on my lap, girl, riding comfortable, cause I know what that girl them need, New York to